No.
What?
Nuh-uh.
Are you kidding?
That's...
Did we play the same game?
I've played both of those games, and no.
Yeah, not even close.
Not even remotely close.
If you're giving Fallout 76 a 60, Anthem deserves a 400.
Hi everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Indigo.
And I'm Crew.
And today we're going to be giving our long-awaited, very requested, just demanded by the masses...
None of those things.
...review of Anthem.
The two of us clearly think that Anthem really hasn't gotten a fair shake in the media. I don't know why it's been poo-pooed so hard.
EA.
Probably EA. Probably a little bit of like, maybe some people just don't like the looter-shooter genre. If you want to see a video we made about Anthem and negativity for views, we have that linked somewhere, probably in the description.
There we go.
So Anthem is a live service game.
Yes.
It's gonna get updates, it's gonna get additions, stuff like that. That having been said, we know some of those things right now, but we can't review them because they don't exist yet.
True.
So we're gonna talk about that just in case you're watching this in the future. These are the things that we haven't seen yet that we can't talk about. Currently, we haven't even really done much of Act 1. The next big thing that's coming up is Phase 1 of Legendary Missions, and we don't really know what that means yet. Like, you can get Legendary Missions, we just don't know what Phase 1 is. And then later next month, there's Phase 2 of Legendary Missions. Again, don't know what that is.
Correct.
But we'll see. They could just be cycling out the missions and like presenting new ones. Don't know what it is yet. We're also announcing leaderboards and guilds at some point in April. We haven't seen those. We can't talk about how useful or good or well implemented they are.
Or how it affects the game as a whole.
Or how it affects the game as a whole.
A different form of friends list.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind as we go. As far as microtransactions are concerned, and I think we should just get this out of the way.
Okay.
Currently, we think the microtransaction pricing is fair.
Yes.
We think that the prices we've seen both for shard and for coin costs for things are reasonable, and there's nothing really much else to say about that. That's how we feel about them. That having been said, we haven't seen any other ranks in the store above Epic. So Masterwork and Legendary we haven't seen in the store. They could come out and be wildly unfair, and then that statement that I just made would be wrong.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen them yet. All right, let's talk about the good parts first. We're gonna talk about the good parts, the meh parts, the parts that we want to see changed, but maybe don't need to be, maybe it's just our opinions, and then the bad stuff, the stuff that's just not good. Good stuff first, the flying.
Oh my god, the flying.
The flying is genuinely enjoyable. Like, traversal in this game is not only a very important part of the game and like, having that freedom of mobility, but it's really fun.
Colossus flies very, very different than a Ranger and, you know, a Storm. Like, they all fly very, very differently. They have different turning radiuses. They have different, like, you know, hovering abilities. They have different jumps. They have different, like, completely different feelings.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something a lot of people touch on is the difference in traversal between the different javelins, because I haven't seen the different jumps mentioned very often. I haven't seen the different like turning radiuses and the heat accumulation, stuff like that. Some of that stuff is things you can change with items, but not all of it is.
Well, they start at different bases.
Exactly.
You know, and then based off of the items that you add, they increase. Well, like the Interceptor has the best mobility, and you know, the Storm has the best amount of hover, right? You could theoretically get, you know, your hover to last longer based off of gear in which you've placed.
Well, I don't know about getting the Colossus hover to last longer.
No,
than
no,
the Storms.
I said I did not. No,
I thought you were saying longer than the Storm.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
I
no.
don't think that's gonna work.
There are aspects of the games that will allow you to improve different aspects if that's the kind of gameplay. If you want to be a Colossus that hovers, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility.
Sure. Next, we're gonna talk about combat. We split this up into a couple different categories. The first are gonna be the abilities. Now, I think I've said this before, but I like short cooldown games.
Sure.
Like one of the main reasons that I didn't get into Destiny really hard is because the abilities had such long cooldowns.
Sure.
And it was mostly about the guns. And it made me feel like I was playing, you know, Call of Duty basically.
Sure.
And I have nothing against Destiny. I still play Destiny sometimes if my friends are playing Destiny. But I feel like Anthem's combat and specifically the way that abilities are balanced is designed to make it so that if you have downtime where you don't have an ability to be using, it is very short.
Yeah.
And there are lots of characters or javelins that don't have cooldowns between their abilities, that don't have a period of time where they have to be shooting a gun. Like, for example, I have a Storm build that has ice shards, and I can literally hold down ice shards. I don't have to stop holding down ice shards. It never runs out of ammo. The ammo goes from 10 to 9 to 10 to 9 because my cooldown reduction is just like bunkeroonies. Or it's a bug. One of those two things. We'll talk about bugs in a bit.
Well, and funny enough you mentioned that, is that I actually have built my storm in a way where my storm freezes people and then I focus on heavy damaged weapons. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that while there is a ton of cooldowns and you're supposed to be using your ability, I literally go freeze, 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 shoot, no one's shooting me, cool, I'm gonna use my ability to headshot and do like 10 times the amount of damage that I would do with my abilities, but because they're frozen, I'm not getting shot, which is huge with the storm. And I can focus on getting a headshot or getting that crucial, critical spot to be able to do additional damage. Because like, I have a heavy pistol that when I'm hovering does 200% damage on the damage I do. And the heavy pistol also does additional damage when you hit critical spots. So I'm doing like 15,000 damage on a critical hit. I just gotta set up the situation. Now I can do that with my abilities, it's just gonna take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so it just changes how do you want to play.
And I think that last part is really important. I have a specific playstyle that I enjoy. I don't necessarily like using guns that much. And he is totally cool using guns. Maybe you enjoy guns more than the abilities. And you can, both are viable. Both are totally viable. I'd say both are viable on every javelin.
Sure.
And I think that's a great facet of combat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of people do say that the weapons are kind of boring, and I would say I would agree with that in the sense that from common all the way up until epic are just kind of a little bit more damage.
Yeah.
Or a different kind of shooting. And I think that from common to epic, you're just supposed to find the gun styles that exist in what things you enjoy and how to use them. But once you hit masterwork, which is, once you hit 30, that's when you're really starting to get masterwork and you're really starting to go that aspect of it.
Right.
Where they add tweaks to the weapons.
Where they help define your playstyle.
Exactly.
That's when they become really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that that's the aspect that a lot of people are missing when they talk about guns are really boring. It's like, no, they're not. They're really exciting. You're just in the tutorial section, you know what I mean?
And I feel like that's something that Diablo did better than Anthem does, which is like Diablo lets you find legendaries at level whatever. It's just like RNG basically, but you do get that like feeling of excitement and that feeling of like, oh I'm significantly stronger because I have this specific item. When a legendary drops in Diablo, even if it's, spec'd for a level 15 character instead of a level 70 character. Anthem doesn't have that. That could be something that they look into adding, like maybe like a smaller % chance to drop a masterwork item at lower levels that is scaled down, that isn't a power level 45 item. Maybe it's just in line with an epic or in line with a rare. But it has those tweaks, and those tweaks are also scaled down, not to maybe 50% damage or 100% damage on the weapon.
Sure.
Just so you get that feeling of like, oh, this is what I'm gunning for. And then like some kind of text in the thing that says like, this is a scaled down version of this, or something like that, to let people like know what they're striving for. I think that would help a lot with the gunplay element of the game. But like as far as like the way the guns sound and the way the guns feel when you shoot them, like I dig them a bunch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I play Colossus and I use an assault rifle, which I don't really use it that often. It's just on my bar to build stacks of a buff, and then I immediately switch to my autocannon and hold left click for literally an hour. I just melt stuff. Oh, I have a clip of that.
And
I actually do. I posted a clip on Reddit of me carrying Robbie and Edwin through a hard dungeon. And there was like a hallway with a ton of enemies, and I just held left click and just mowed them down. It looks so, I look so broken OP, yeah. The last, but definitely not the least good thing about the game are the devs. I've never felt this like appreciated and like heard by a group of devs.
Sure.
And you could say like, oh, it's a facade, and they're like, they're putting up an act and they're not actually listening to you. and like they were gonna do that anyways, and then you just happen to say it, or whatever. You can say any number of things like that, and you could potentially be right, but it's a good enough facade that I don't agree with you if that's the case, and that's saying something. Like I feel good about it. I feel good enough about the development team to say like they respect their players, they genuinely want to make their players have an enjoyable experience, they genuinely care about the quality of the game, they genuinely listen to feedback. Like I can say all those things and be like, yeah, I stand behind that.
Yeah.
And that's a very unique thing for me. I've never felt that way about a dev team this strongly before, maybe since WildStar. I felt that way about WildStar's dev team, and now this game, and those are the only 2 games.
And Krug just jinxed it.
Next thing is the lore. This is different from the story.
Yes.
This is the lore.
Yes.
This is a new IP. It's a whole new set of rules. It's a whole new set of like of history and characters and like races and all kinds of stuff. And I think learning about that stuff's really fun. I think it's really well written in this game. If you're not the kind of like read the journal entries sort of player, maybe this isn't that important. Yeah, maybe this isn't that important to you. But if you are, I really think you'll enjoy all of the stuff that you can like collect and learn about in this game.
I will say that there are things, and I would almost, this kind of like almost pushes to the meh column for me, because I think that there are other aspects that they could do to make this interesting. Like
what?
I love the mailbox. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
I think the junk mail's funny, and I even go through that sometimes. But sometimes when I'm running through the city or I'm running through a thing and I find a codex, right? I don't want to stop and like prevent all my friends from progressing to sit there and read that, and then I forget about it and have to go through it again via the menu, which isn't the best system in the world, right? What I wish they would do is once you've unlocked or found a codex, I wish that they would put that text in the loading screens.
That would be good. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anything
Something
either.
needs to happen in the loading screens.
Yeah, because right now it's an image with the same text below it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've unlocked this codex. Like, this is a static moment in which I cannot do anything. And I've got plenty of time at this loading screen to be able to at least read through some of it. Allow me to have that opportunity to get caught into the story. Because it's like, there's aspects of the game where I know a little bit about and I want to learn more about. But my gameplay time is important because I don't want to stop my friends and have to sit there for 10 minutes while I read through and talk to, you know, it's
if you're in a pug group and like none of them use like voice and you just like, there's no way for you to communicate, like, I want to stop. And then like, who has the audacity, right? To be like, hey, you're trying to finish this mission, but I really want to read this.
Yep.
Like not many people would be that silly.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, and we've sort of naturally transitioned into the meh category here, so we're just going to call that the transition. There definitely needs to be something done with the load screen.
Yes.
Because they are frequent, and while, you know, at launch they were terrible for a lot of players, there was some sort of issue with the way that the game read data from a hard drive. It was reading way too much data at a time, and so load screens were atrocious for a lot of people. They've fixed that, or I'm not going to say they fixed that.
They've improved.
They've improved it drastically. That having been said, there are still a lot of load screens, and I feel like the thing that you're describing would be a good way to make them less ridiculously monotonous. Instead of the same few images over and over again, let us browse our codex. The one thing I'd say is probably not in your transition from the fort to any mission, because that you'd either like get partway through the entry and then you'd be loaded into the game and it would disappear and that would be frustrating.
Sure.
But I feel like on your way back from a mission to the fort, it would be easier because they could not load you in until you hit like accept, until you're done reading the thing.
Sure.
You know? I think that would be really nice. But that's not the way it is currently.
Sure. The next meh is the progression. Now, I think that this is a general issue with loot shooters as a whole / gear grindy games, which is you hit max level, congratulations, now just play the same thing over and over and over and over and get better gear. And then when you get better gear, go to the next level of difficulty and then do the same things again, but at a harder stat again and again and again and again. And I think that that's just an aspect of these kinds of games.
Yes.
But, and the reason why I feel that this is a meh section is that the fact is that they have decided to develop the game and come up with a story and come up with all of this stuff and then release them.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that yes, you're doing the same thing. Yes, you're doing the same thing. Oh, new piece of candy.
Yes.
And then you kind of get to go through additional story and additional things, and then you go back to the grind, and then you're grinding, and then ooh, new piece of candy, and then you get to do that. And I think that pushes it from this kind of sucks to a all right, it could be good, and I think it would move into a good section once we see the content, or it could move to a good section once we start seeing the content release and see that they're on time with their releases, that the amount of content that they release is a good amount.
Yep.
And so I feel it's really hard to give a legitimate good or bad on this because we don't know what the future holds for us.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't enjoy the grind for incremental updates, right? Like if you don't enjoy looking for the same Grandmaster weapon that you have right now, because the one that you have right now has a roll that is suboptimal, like it has a harvest % chance roll, and you don't want that on your Grandmaster weapon. You want it to be damage, or you want it to be cooldown reduction on one of your abilities, or whatever it is that your build calls for. That's going to be something that you are doing in this game, and you need to understand that that kind of optimization for a lot of the end game is a part of the game. Is determining how to build yourself and then finding a way to do it. That's how Diablo works. I don't think that's how, is that how Destiny works? I have no idea how Destiny works. I don't play it enough. But it's part of the loot-based, the loot-driven titles that exist. And so if you think that the rest of the game can keep you entertained and would be worth your money, maybe like go for it. But like that is also a facet of the game, and so just keep that in mind.
It's the basis of the game.
Yeah. Loot is the basis of the game. The second meh thing on the list is the conversations in the fort. Now, I love the conversations in the fort. I love the characters, and the voice acting is awesome, and a lot of the stories are really compelling and interesting. Some of them are not, but I feel like a majority of them are. Right? Fair?
Yeah.
The problem is that, like, after every mission, you have, let's say, 3 people to go talk to. But, like, one of them is, like, by the forge, like, near the launch area. And then the other ones are, like, way in the back.
At the bar.
At the bar. And I'm just like, I don't want to walk from here to there. It's very repetitive and very kind of, I'm on autopilot for most of it, you know?
And I would say that something that would improve it is the sprint that you have if it was a little faster.
And they did make it faster, but then they said this is as fast as we feel comfortable making it because faster speeds wouldn't feel like realistic or something like that. To which I say, I don't give a f.
Kind of like an awkward pacing too, because you're used to like, and then you're just like,
and I think that's part of why it breaks the pacing so hard. Because literally, if I see a cliff ledge, I can just go to it. And then in this game, I'm like, or in the fort, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Last thing are the bad things. There are some bad things. There are bugs.
Yes.
There are tons of bugs. Some of them are very annoying bugs.
Like shooting an enemy and then as they're about to die, they just disappear. Where'd the group of enemies go?
The main bug that bothers me is the one where you can't res someone. Like we play as 4 a lot. And so I will be trying to res Indigo, and literally the prompt to press F to resurrect is not there. And so I'm like, oh, I can't res you, sorry. Somebody else on the team has to come over and res Indigo. The problem is that I'm the only Colossus on the team, and so if Indigo dies out of position, sorry, not trying to call you out.
No.
Everybody goes out of position every once.
I'm a storm. I die a lot. Like, this is how that works.
Like somebody else has to go res him, and if he's surrounded, that literally means that he doesn't get to play for a while because I can't res him, and if anyone else tries, they'll die. And so we literally just have to push through to where he is, killing everything along the way to get to the point where we can res him.
Well,
like that kind of thing.
And then
happens.
The other issue with, I mean, this isn't a bug. This is just how the game works, and I would say that this is a bad aspect of it. When I'm dead, I can't do anything. I can't. And let's just say the rest of the group decides to progress with the story or like do something else or just like not res me. I can't even leave the mission.
Yeah, you have to Alt F4. They know about that. They say they're gonna fix it somehow. We don't know how they're gonna fix it.
Let me read my lore.
Yeah, right? That's a good idea. That's not a bad idea.
All in all, I really enjoy the game. We might do a follow-up later on once we start to see additional content and see further how like development versus bug fixing versus exploits and all of that. We might do another one of those. But as of right now, I'm greatly enjoying this game. I'm having a ton of fun. I don't know how it would ever be rated below Fallout 76.
Yeah, that doesn't make very much sense. I've played this game a ton. Like, I've played the shit out of this game already, and I love it. I can't get over this game. This game is really, really enjoyable for me personally. I love the looter shooter mechanics. I love like optimizing characters. I do it in every game, at least on a playthrough of it. All of the like ancillary bits of the game are like really, really well implemented, like the voice acting and stuff like that. The things that you need to have in order to make the world feel good. Like, it's very gorgeous. Like, it runs well on my machine. I haven't had any performance issues. I get that people have, but like, I haven't. And so I like the game a bunch.
Yeah, and I understand that they do exist.
I'm not trying to excuse that.
No.
I'm not trying to say, like, if you meet, the minimum system requirements that they list on their website, you should be able to run the game and get an enjoyable frame rate. Bottom line. And if that's not the case, that is an issue that they should be looking at solving. That's the bottom line. I think a lot of the negative comments about this game are at least a little hyperbolic. And then I think that a lot of the people being negative about the game are ignoring very obviously good facets of the game. The gameplay is fun. And if they do address that, they say the gameplay is fun, as though it's not a huge thing, you know? Like,
the gameplay is fun, but it's got EA attached to it, so we can't say that.
I just don't understand how you gloss over the gameplay is fun. That is
honestly a lot of the negative reviews I've seen are either people that are using other people's reviews as their review and just going like, they said that this game had really fun gameplay, but they have a loot shooter system, and that's difficult, and you're like, you've not played this game. Please do not review this game when you have not played this game. You can tell when someone reviews a game and you're just referring to what other people have said about the game, and it's just like, please do not add on to this. This is not how you create good content. This is not how you like give someone the chance. And I think that people that played this game and did not enjoy it and legitimately want to review it in a negative light don't have the right to that. No, I think that they do. They absolutely have the right to be able to say, I did not enjoy this game and this is why. But if you're also a person that doesn't enjoy loot shooters, you should not review a loot shooter. Like, you'll never see me review Candy Crush because I hate those types of games.
You should, if you don't like that kind of game, right, and then you review it, let people know that that's the place you're coming from. Hey, this is a review of Anthem from somebody who doesn't like looter shooters. That's fine. Give people the right mindset.
But I still don't think that that's enough, though. If I know that I hate a gameplay style and I go into it, unless this somehow changes my mind about that gameplay style, you're still coming at it in a fucking negative light, and that's not the right way to go about a review. Period. You should start on a neutral ground. I enjoy this kinds of games. Cool. That's fine. You're going to go into this game with an open mind. But if you're going into a game going, this is EA and I immediately have to hate them, this is a loot shooter and I dislike loot shooters, and you go into that, even if you say that, it's not enough. You're going into it to hate it, and that's not okay. Because there are people that do enjoy this kind of game, and you're affecting their outlook on a game that they haven't had access to, and you have. And that's not okay, and that's not right for the reviewer, and it's not right to treat a game developer that way.
I mean, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there.
All right, Lorenzo, head down to the comments and let us know, did this change your opinion about Anthem? Whether it did or it didn't, please let us know. And if your name isn't Lorenzo, you can still go down in the comments and let us know what you thought about Anthem if you've gotten a chance to it, and if our review has somehow managed to change your opinion about Anthem. While you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you haven't already, and then head over to Twitter and talk to us there. You can talk to me on Twitter at IndigoQT.
And you can talk to me on Twitter at QueueQT. You can also talk to both of us at the same time at all of these social media things down here. Look at them. They're so soft. We'll see you guys next time.